Do you mind introducing yourself?
Sure, my name is Suyan. I am a teacher at an elementary school. I teach English second language to kindergarten students.
Okay. I just have a few interview questions to just show or exemplify the education inequality in Charlotte. My first question is if you have a regret from high school going into college.
I think my biggest regret going into college is that I didn't explore what my interest was and like really truly explore what I wanted to do in high school. I did somewhat, but I didn't know that there were resources available for me to use to find out about myself and what my dream could be and what my calling and passion could be. So if I had known that, I think my experience in college would have been more beneficial. I could have taken more advantage.
Yeah. Did your teachers or counselors or parents try to help you find that path?
I think so. My dad tried to help me find a lot of resources in terms of like schools and scholarships for me to have that option once I go to college. I've had teachers and mentors who've showed me different, like one or two ways that I can explore my interest a little better. And for example, our teacher gave me an option to be like really plugged into our communities outside of school, and my counselor told me about like this internship I can do at Mid Museum, which allowed me more opportunities to get to know different artists, which didn't turn out to be my career path, but that was one of the things that allowed me to explore some of my interest.
What do you think was the most important factor for your success?
I think persistence, perseverance. Because I was not born in the United States and I was an immigrant and I am an immigrant, there were a lot of different things that were that I had to do that my friends didn't have to do, that I didn't get to do, that my friends kind of took advantage of when it comes to financial aid for college or majority of those or other opportunities that arises. So in that regard, I had to look more and I had to explore more options that are different from my regular peers. So I had to think of different ways to fund my higher education. I had to think of different ways to do to engage in community service, to go on trips or things of that sort. But if I had kind of given up, that because it looked different, I think that would have made it. I wouldn't have had the opportunity that I had.
How do you think your peers, teachers, counselors, and parents, or any other could help other immigrant students to find the success that you have?
I think knowledge is the key when it comes to immigrant communities, because the more you know that there are things available and resources available to you, even though you're not, regular U.S. citizens, even though you're not this and that, there is a motivation for you to look for more, even if you don't find that right away. So counselors, teachers, parents, or any other people around me, the more they know, even if it's a little thing, if they shared it with students, collectively it adds up. So I think just sharing information, sharing knowledge, sharing resources, I think those are.
And how would we share that information and get teachers to know about an immigrant situation?
Well, one thing that many people that I know who work in education field and who are aware trying to do is educate other educators about those resources. Social media is one great way to share. All the teachers have to go to professional development. It's kind of like a workshop to improve their teaching and how they can interact with students. So those opportunities, seeking those opportunities to go to where it is intentionally to educate yourself, to be aware of immigrant issues, especially facing students who are seeking higher education, I think is one way.
So you spoke of how American citizens had certain advantages in the college application process. So could you, if you don't mind, explain what those advantages are?
Right. I think majority of it is financial aid. I think American citizens and residents have, they can apply for FAFSA, they can apply for scholarships, while international students are not qualified for certain scholarships, and they're definitely not qualified for financial aid. In terms of higher education in state of North Carolina, at least, there are many other states that are not, but there are many other states that are, where they have public education for higher education. The tuition is out-of-state tuition for international students. So majority is, I think, financial aid. And then, like, the process of applying is different. If you're an international student, you have different set of application, and they require you to provide different documents and that kind of stuff, which is understandable because you're not from here. But that is definitely a different process. And even though I went to American high school, those are information that I had to seek out because that are different from my peers who were born and grew up here.
So do you believe your life now is strongly affected by your high school academic choices?
I think so in some ways, because now looking back, I told you that I wish I had explored more, but there were definitely different things that I've done in high school that have allowed me to know what are my passions, that I'm passionate about immigrant communities, I'm passionate about policies and how to better advocate for students, and all those things came about, I think, because I was part of IB program, which was during my high school years. They raised awareness about international issues and just culture in general, whether it be here or around the world. So the choices that I've made in terms of my academic classes that I had to take during high school year have definitely shifted and molded my way of thinking. And then when I went to college, that was really evident. They really pushed me to write and think for myself and do all kinds of stuff. That was really helpful when I went to college. And I went to liberal arts college, which was also, they focus a lot on that aspect of being a well-rounded person.
What do you think is the most important thing to think about when choosing a college, especially for immigrants?
To be honest, when I was in high school, financial aspect was the most important because without money you can't go to college, right? But looking back, now that I've gone through college, and I was very fortunate that I went to the college that I did, because I look back and I realized that was a good fit for me. But one thing was the size of college. I didn't think that was important. You go and you learn. Why is that important? But I think different people thrive differently in different learning environments, and smaller class sizes or big class sizes. Different opportunities are there and different benefits are there. So that's one thing. Another thing is knowing what you are interested in and whether that school offers that kind of support and opportunity. Because you may be interested in, let's say, music therapy, but if you go to school that doesn't offer it, then it makes no sense to go there. Third, I think the kind of community, which is hard to get to know, I think, unless you really insert yourself in there, and unless you're a student there, it's kind of hard to know the school culture. But as an immigrant, that was important because university that I went to was very welcoming of immigrants. They were very aware about different issues, and I think they still are. So if I were to have gone to another university where that was not the case, I don't think I would have had a very good college years. And I know people who have gone to colleges where that was not the case, and they ended up transferring to different schools.
Did you have any obstacles due to the lack of opportunities provided in your school in your pathway to college?
Did I have
any obstacles?
Personally, I think what I wanted and what I needed, I think my academic setting provided. But as a teacher looking at my students, I know that is not the case for all schools. I think because I went to an IB and I was surrounded by students who strive to go to higher education, and there were it was always on my mind and all the things, but that's not the case for many people, and that's not the goal for many people. Some people want to work right after school, but for me, the obstacle was not necessarily the educational resources. It's a resources that were access to certain resources, or even being aware of resources that are available to me specifically.
Once you got into college, were there any gaps within your class due to different academic backgrounds, and how was that gap evident?
I believe so. There were evident, because as I've told you, I did in IB, which pushes a lot of writing and essays, and that was how our test was done. That was how we showed our thinking. But there were many students in my class where writing 2 or 3 page paper was a huge deal because they've never done it before. For me, that was one night homework. So being used to the process of expressing your thoughts and learning through writing, even that was different from different backgrounds of academic education.
So my last question is, my group and I are making a live binder for counselors and teachers and parents, providing them resources of opportunities and scholarships of getting to college. Do you think that's going to be effective in the community for students?
Yes, that sounds amazing. Especially I told you, for a lot of immigrant communities, what seems to be readily available for majority of people may not be as readily available in terms of knowledge, that there are these resources available for all students. So if you can gather those information in one place and share it with different communities, I think that would be very beneficial for many students. It's not just students, being aware as a family or as a community that allows different people at different times to pursue more knowledge.
Thank you.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you.